Good evening and welcome to the regular board meeting for Sunrise School Division. My name is Paul Mang, I'm the chair. I'm going to call our meeting to order at 7:09. And we have O Canada sung by performed by White Mouse. Thank you to White Mouse School, much appreciated. Every time I hear O Canada and they come around to the True North, I'm about ready to yell out True North as they do at all the Jets games. It was great. Thank you, White Mouse School. 1.3 is our treaty acknowledgement, and I'm going to ask Trustee Boytson to read our treaty acknowledgement, please.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Boytson. Before we adopt the agenda, just a reminder to people is that Trustee Dent is not eligible to be with us here tonight, and Trustee Rowland is not here in person, but she's online and calling online. And then we have the balance of our trustees that are with us. So there'll be 8 trustees that will be voting on any issues that are on tonight. So 2.1 is the adoption of our agenda. Be it resolved the board approve our agenda. Moved by Trustee Rowland, seconded by Trustee Nicol. Questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. So it's 8-0. So moving on to Chair's comments, a reminder to send all your questions to Lars. Okay, send all of our questions to jody.thiessen at sunrisesd.ca. Name and address of the sender please include in the email, and we will try to answer those questions at the end of the evening. And the other thing as well, just to let people know, Secretary Thiessen is not with us tonight. So by the Public Schools Act, we need an acting Secretary-Treasurer, and our acting Secretary-Treasurer is Mr. Lars Fielberg. She can appoint someone to do that. Thank you. Share a story. So I'm going to open up the microphone. Does anybody want to go ahead and share a story? Trustee Rowan?
On November 11th, Trustee Dent and I attended the SCI Remembrance Day service, and the principal there actually gave me a tour of the school after, so I got to see the progress that's happening with their renovation.
Thank you. Anyone? Trustee Nicol?
Yeah, on the day before the November 11th, which is the 10th, White Mouse School had a Remembrance Day service, and we had a very distinguished guest there. We had the Minister of Education, Wayne Iwatsky, that was there to take part or be present when we had Remembrance Day service, and it was put on. It was a very good Remembrance Day service. It was put on by the students. But after the Remembrance Day service, we moved into the library, and we had a very important announcement by Wayne Iwasko, so the Education Minister Wayne Iwasko. They are building a 74-space daycare in White Mouse. and should be built by September 23, which means in less than a year they'll have it open, is the plan. So that was very good news. But to have a minister there was something. He hasn't been there for, I guess, 3 months, because I think he was there in June for the graduation.
Thanks, Trustee Nichol, appreciate it. Trustee Smith?
I actually was able to take an extra long lunch break and went to the middle years Remembrance Day service at Edward Schreier. It was very well done. I've gone to it quite a bit in the past, but before I was a member of the Legion, not as a trustee. So it was very well done. They did a great job. After that, I went and set up the Remembrance Day for the town, and the next day I helped put on the Remembrance Day at the Big Hall. It was great.
Thanks, Trustee Smith. Anyone else? Trustee Boyson?
I also attended the Remembrance Day services both at Enola School and at Hazel Ridge, and they too did a beautiful job of remembering the men and women that, sacrificed for all of us and continue to do so. But great job by them.
Anyone else? Trustee Harris?
I was able to attend the Remembrance Day service at Gillis School. It was great to see the kids in the gym. Some were quite apprehensive, it seemed, to see big people for the first time at an assembly. And it was great to overhear parents say how excited they were to be at a public event in the school for the first time, and we're looking forward to Christmas concerts coming up. I also had the opportunity a week before to go to the e-sport event at École Dougal School. We had a report from that from the staff at our last board meeting, and what an exciting time for the kids with that event.
Thanks, Trustee Harris. Anyone else? Trustee Reed?
I'll just add to the Remembrance Day comments. I was able to attend 2 schools because Centennial was in the afternoon and the senior school was in the morning, so I attended both, and I got to talk to a lot of parents. As Robin just alluded to, I think that's probably the favorite time for the parents. They like to get out and see the kids because the kids are always doing some kind of making a contribution to the service. So it was a good day.
Anyone else? So I had the opportunity to attend at Parview School, and again, I like to thank the Parview School staff as well as all of our staff across the division for the work that they put in. It was great seeing, as Trustee Harris and a number of you said, about seeing parents into the buildings and a big assembly and those kind of things. So yeah, it was really good to see. The next day I was fortunate enough to be able to lay a wreath on behalf of the school division at the town Memorial Day service. And yeah, I think all around, thanks to the people that put the work into it, it's much appreciated, and it was great to see the kids there as well. Diane, did I miss you out, Diane, on the phone?
I just wanted to say that I had the regret of having to miss the Remembrance Day service in Cold Dougal because of illness, and it's always a special time to be at the school for that. I'm sure they did a wonderful job, and my deepest regrets I could not attend.
All right, so kudos all the way around to the people and the work. Thank you. We're going to move on to our board delegation. So we have Jason here with us, and I'm going to let Kathy introduce Jason for everybody, please.
Thank you, Paul. So Jason Lang is our Director of Human Resources, and he is here as an operational presentation. So I think we had alluded to last time we had a school presentation, and we try to alternate between our operational departments and our schools to do some presentations and to bring the board up to speed on what's going on in the wonderful world of HR. Are you all ready, Jason?
So Jason, as you're getting yourself ready, I had a few trustees remind me of that as we have presentations, that I should be giving you a heads up as to when to try to close up if you go on too long. So I'm going to give you the floor, but if you start going too long, is that I'm going to give you a little bit of heads up to see about how you can wrap up for us. But But the floor is yours, Jason. No, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me here. Push away a bit. This presentation is going to be new to those new trustees here, and it's going to be an update for the existing trustees that are here. I will not be reading through the slides, but providing some narrative as we go through. For those that have not seen the Sunrise map, that is on the cover page. The presentation topics, which I included in the report, this is how it's laid out in your package. So go through the role, the HR team, give you some information about the head count, number of positions we've posted, some of the challenges, some of the new initiatives, and what to look forward to in the future. Everyone always says, first of all, what is HR's role? HR's role, some people go to one organization, they might say it's hand-holding, the other one there is the fear factor. This is an organization where I'd like to change the fear factor and make sure that HR is seen as someone who is caring and delivers a professional approach in its services. These are the value-added services that I would expect of an HR department, and that I and my team and the divisional team look at providing. The HR team, we are lean, and we are not mean. Myself, the Human Resources Director, I'm 12 months of the year. Our HR coordinator is a new individual. She's here on a term, Sarah Scott, because our other new HR coordinator will be starting February 23rd of 2023, and she will be new to the position. So new and new. We also have a new administrative support person joining our divisional team. She is referred to, some people will say that's our sub-clerk. Part of her job is coming in at 6:30 in the morning, and she is the one that deals with manual intervention. People call in and they can't make it. She is the one that picks up the phone and has all the connections with the 200 and something plus individuals that she knows are able to work today. We also have the executive team, our executive assistant to the CEO, our senior admin assistants. They all jump in when we need a hand and everything, and they all play a part. We also have an external safety advisor as part of our team, and she's on contract 2 days per week. I want to give you some numbers. Excuse me. You'll see I put casuals first, 460 casuals, and our total full-time, part-time term, 19. You will see to run this division, it takes a lot of resources and a lot of casuals. When I say casuals, that also refers to not just our sub-teachers, our custodial, our EAs, our lunch monitors, crossing guards, bus monitors, and many, many more. So this is just a high level of who our clients are in the division. Give you a quick full-time, part-time term head count. So you'll see that 819 from the prior page. I just broke it up for you here to say here's how many drivers, here's how many teachers, to try and give you a quick look at how we came at 819 in the prior page. So this is something that will have you say, geez, okay, what's happening here? When you look at the number of postings, we put up 350 postings for the last 12 months, and they go up every day. You're going to see that the postings compared to the number of individuals we have is a high number. So teachers, 196 postings over 422 teachers is 46%. 60 postings for drivers over the 97 drivers we currently have is 62%. Custodial, 12 over the 51 is 24%. Educational assistants, we've had 46 postings over 145 educational assistants, 32%. Our numbers all range from the low of 24 all the way up to your 48%. So we are posting a lot. These postings replace long-term sicknesses, resignations, retirements. HR has not been, as you see from the prior slides, it has not gone untouched. New individuals, and we've been trying to keep up. So for those of you that have been around, you'll see that there's no shortage of this not touching the divisional position. So we've had the same impact with the divisional position. Relationships, I can't stress enough, HR's role is about communication and relationships. Without those relationships, we get into sticky problems that we don't want to have. I and our division were supported by a colleague at the Manitoba School Boards Association, so that's my colleague to reach out, and we throw ideas back and forth at each other. One of the agencies I'll just indicate here, WCB, we deal a lot with WCB for injury claims, return to work programs, etc. Collective agreements. We have 5 collective agreements. Our first one, maintenance workers, custodians, that expired on December 31st, 2021. Our other 4 agreements here have all expired June 30th, 2022. Teachers' collective bargaining has now moved to single-tier provincial bargaining. This means that all teachers except for DSFM will have one collective agreement negotiated centrally. I will say, throwing a little kudos here, our union presidents and human resources work well with human resources and with the division. Our relationships are only going to grow and continue to grow. HR services, I've given you a list of some of our main services that we look at. Each action here creates another action, and there is a lot of administrative work. I know our MIMS and coordinator try to keep up with all the new hire letters, all the contracts, and I can even say Paul has probably over 180 signatures to do tonight. One of the things I left off of here were probationary periods. We do run a probationary period list. We try to get to it. It identifies who's all coming up to the end of their probationary period. I wish we could stay on top of it, but I'm going to say look at our principals and I'll look at our divisional staff. They've been out in the schools teaching, trying to keep up. Sometimes you just don't get that time to sit down and document where all the concerns are. Key performance indicators. I would love to actually have some on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We are very reactive. I'd love to be at the proactive stage and like to say if we were not as lean, we'd probably have a lot more of these. We will work to coming up with some because I'd like to bring some to the board on a regular basis. Say, here are our numbers, here's where we're at. Our challenges, our biggest, one of our big challenges, you can see is COVID still. It exists. Even though the government's not tracking it, it is out in the community. And we're seeing it. We have 40 more substitute teachers this year than last year, and we're still finding it difficult to keep up, and we are adding and adding to our substitute list. Currently, we're at 180 substitutes. Teacher substitutes were last year at I think March we were at about 142. No, sorry, 124. Our challenges, recruiting French teachers and recruiting into rural locations. Gas has been a big concern. I know we've had more individuals carpooling, but I can say I know I've had two educational assistants who have resigned because they could not afford the gas to get to their work. We also rely on limited teaching permits, so those individuals that don't have a teaching degree, but they have a major or a minor in a specific area. So I've graduated with a minor in mathematics. Great, you're hired, you can teach the math class. So we are looking after and are looking out for our students, trying to look after their best interest and find qualified individuals if we are short on filling positions for teachers for the day. When you see a large pool of substitutes, the 180 I refer to, you've got to remember that it's not just a pool you reach in. They have restrictions. They've specified schools. They've specified whether it's morning or afternoons. I only want certain subjects. I only want high school, or I only want elementary school. So you're trying to fill everyone's needs. One of our biggest challenges going forward is going to be compensation, and you've got 4 collective agreements that are also going to challenge you. Right now, we've got bus aides, bus monitors, crossing guards. Last year, we moved them to $15.50 per hour because we were having extreme difficulty filling those positions. The issue with these positions, they are only 1 to 2 hours per day. No one wants to come to a job, drive here, maybe drive 8 to 12 minutes for $15.50 an hour, and then thank you, go home, and they just spend $10 or $12 in gas. You will see we've gone from $11.95 per hour. It just jumped to $13.50 per hour. So that was our current change in the last month. Some of our new initiatives, we are continuing to review where we advertise. Some people would say throw the net wider, try and get as many people as possible, but when we throw a net wider, I'll say one of our colonies we just posted, we had 112 applications with only 2 qualified individuals. So you end up getting a lot of foreign individuals applying. You end up having to go through a lot of filtering. We also will be bringing a budget forward because our budget for advertising is under what it needs to be. So, it's not possible to do the advertising. I think our budget is at $5,000 for advertising, and last year we went $16,000 over. One of the things we did with our bus driver shortage last year, we did develop a driver referral program instead of putting ads in the paper. Use word of mouth, it does better. We actually have been paying out students and other individuals who have spoken highly and brought forward qualified drivers into the division. This year, transportation is up 12 drivers, more drivers compared to last year, and we also have 2 more drivers in training. We've also been unable to find solutions for filling our lunch monitors and crossing guards, so our solution there was, let's use our grade 11 and 12. They're at the school, we'll have them do the lunch monitor and crossing guard duty. So going forward, again, I mentioned earlier, it's changing the perception of HR. Someone that individuals look forward to walking into a school or walking into one of our businesses, not someone that they want to walk away from. So I will, and our coordinator, we will conduct more site visits, just like the trustees here, make sure they know we're aware of them and they're aware of us, and it's almost, it's thank you, it's recognition. Going out and say thank you. We are going to be, and we have started updating our onboarding process. It's ongoing, and it's an ongoing challenge, but we have moved forward from when I first started. And going forward, again, collective bargaining is going to be one of the items coming up on your plate. We do have a strategic planning group set up for, I think, next week to talk about how do we continue to hire, including French. One of the largest things, or one of the things that we as a division need to look at is divisional engagement versus siloed sites. If you go out and ask someone, where do you work? They're going to say, I work for XY school. Most of the individuals aren't going to say, I work for Sunrise School. They're going to give us a school. We are missing that overall arching picture of the division because we've got engagement at some locations, but we don't have other locations that we don't have on the divisional level. I would like to, I understand we had a photographer in the past. I'd like to engage a professional photographer to come and take pictures because looking at some of the pictures, and I'll show you on the next screen, you're not going to get engagement through looking at blank walls. We need to continue to look at our Indigenous workforce. We may need to review mileage reimbursement going forward, and we're going to look at developing more referral programs. Just like teachers, let's give referral payments for those that go out and speak positively and get us more teachers in the division. Here's the reason I'm saying we need a professional photographer. If I'm a teacher and I'm applying to this division, the first thing I'm doing is going to the home page of the school and saying, what am I looking for? This tells me nothing. It says, sorry, I'm going to say, don't take offense, it says sad to me. Where are all the joyous faces? It's difficult for us to find individuals when you go and you look and you're saying, I want to work there. How do we do that? We're going to look at employee engagement too. How do we create divisional excitement? You do that through employee engagement, and how do we get there? How do we get individuals to give the above and beyond effort? We have to look individually at the drivers of engagement. And the 4 I've put out in red, those continue to be the highest consistent drivers of engagement. All the other ones are there too, but individuals want to know that they're being recognized. How many times do we hear the word thank you? I know at the division level, and I've heard Kathy say it thousands of times to the administrators. I'd like to make sure that our staff within the school, not just our administrators, know how to say thank you, but everyone knows how to say thank you. That's part of driving engagement. So it's having to look at each of these. And that's it, and I'm going to say thank you, Paul, for not stomping.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. Questions from... One? Sorry, Trustee Rowan?
Sorry, I had a question about one of the responsibilities. Are you or a coordinator overseeing like the benefits process, like on a daily claims kind of basis, or who takes care of benefits?
Benefits are done by payroll, so we take the forms. The forms all come into Human Resources. They go through payroll. We work very closely with payroll. We're on the phone, I'm going to say daily, as items come up for parental leave, maternity leave. So it's payroll, but it's HR as part of them.
Anything more, Diane?
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned the priority was to increase your Power School functionality and reporting. Could you elaborate, like, where you're at and what's missing?
Sorry, Dan, can you just give me a bit more clarity to that question?
I guess what I'm gathering is that our Power School is the program you're using for HRIS, and does it not meet your needs, or what would you like to see further as far as a human resource, like information system for reporting?
So Power School, and I will say the team I work with will all say that it is a struggle to work with. We do most of our work still in spreadsheets. We can run various reports, but we sometimes don't get the same numbers when we run the same report 2 times. And we are continually on the phone with Power School, and we put tickets in, and I'm going to say the number one response we get from Power School is go and read the Power School community and figure it out. So when you're dealing with something on a immediate need, you don't have time to go and spend a day reading.
Anything else, Diane?
Is our payroll system not generating those reports, or that is the same system you're referring to?
They are the same system. There are different modules within the system.
Thank you, Jason.
Trustee Rowan?
The numbers that you showed for the posting, where there was 196 teachers out of 350, are a lot of those term positions? I'm just trying to get an idea for what kind of turnover we're having.
I haven't broken them out between full-time, part-time, and term. It is something that I could come back to this board and look at. Again, we've got a lot of sicknesses that we're trying to fill, and these are postings that could be anywhere from, and I'll throw one out, a .03 FTE all the way up to a .9. So we've had a lot of different, someone is off for 1 day per week or a half day per week in the restrictions, and we have to post for those vacancies.
Anyone else? Trustee Smith?
Sorry, I'm going to need some info on acronyms. There were 4 of them in there that I did not know what they were. One was SEC, SEC, MTS Disability, and ICT.
So SBC is the Sunrise Business Center. That's right beside Edward Trier School. SEC is this building here, the Sunrise Education Center. IT would be the IT department, technology department. And what was the other one? Go ahead. Oh, MTS? Manitoba Teacher Society. Yeah. Any other questions, Trustee Smith? Good. Okay. Trustee Nicol?
I was just wondering whether the province of Manitoba is going to France and Morocco this next week to recruit skilled workers. Was Sunrise School Division invited to go with them?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't even know what that initiative is, so I'll have Kathy fill me in. All I know is that the province in their news release yesterday indicated that they've created a new job posting board, so I think they're competing with Indeed and Workopolis.
Yeah, this is to try to recruit French for bilingual communities in Manitoba. And I was just wondering whether they approach any of the school divisions or not. That's why I asked you about Sunrise.
Anyone else? Trustee Harris?
Just to follow up on Trustee Rowan's question regarding that 196 teachers, so that's 196 bodies, but you mentioned some of those FTEs are like .03 and so on. So that, what would the FTE be for that 196?
So the 196 is 196 postings, not 196 teachers. So you could have various, you could have someone who's already a .5 and now they've picked up a .2. So I didn't give the FTE here. I'm going to say it's probably pretty close that it's 196. It could be 192 when you look at someone who's picking up a .5 and a .3 here and a .25 there. Does that answer your question?
I'm surprised by that number. If some are .03, how could that be close to 196 FTE? That's what I'm missing. Or is it .3? Maybe I'm missing something.
I think some of the answer is also that it might be that someone is away for an 8-week period and they're supposed to replace them in 8 weeks and then the regular teacher comes back. Someone else might be away for a portion of their job, .25, and they're still here for .75. One of the reports that I will bring on December 6th is a retirement report. So teachers can retire at November 30th and they can also retire at May 31st. And I think probably the indicator that Trustee Rowan and yourself are looking for is what are the number of teachers that are retiring versus the number that we're hiring as new teachers. And that will probably give you a better idea of what's the turnover in the division as opposed to what are the we need to fill for shorter periods of time and for smaller portions. Is that a more helpful way to explain it?
Any other questions? So I have a couple of them for you, Jason. This board is really interested in the strategic planning part that you're talking about because when we're finding that, and Kathy's keeping us appraised of how many substitutes we're missing on a daily basis because we can't find, sorry, not how many substitutes, yes, I guess how many substitutes that we cannot fill. What we want to do is find out then how do we bring in more substitute teachers, and that's part of your strategic plan. And if it means then that we need to get creative, then let's get creative. It also talked about, we heard from transportation two meetings ago, and transportation talked about that we haven't had to cancel a bus run. Well, this board is saying is that we don't want to cancel bus runs because we want to have enough spare drivers. So what is the plan? So the other Jason talked a little bit about the incentive plan that's going on. Great. We just don't want to be in a situation where we cannot have enough bodies to have our bus runs or have our schools going because we hear from other school divisions, and this is great that this hasn't happened to us, that classes are getting canceled. Well, we don't want to hear that. So we want to find out is then, so what your job is to, what's the plan so that we can attract more, and you're doing a good job because we do have a large number, but the number sometimes isn't even enough. And so what are we doing so that we are making sure that, and again, our teachers are doing a great job right now about covering classes, but eventually they're going to want to say, hey, no to us. They don't want to do it. Let's find substitutes. So the work that you're doing with regard to strategic planning, which is set in here, this board's very interested very quickly on wanting to find out how those things are going. So kudos to you. One of the questions is part of our overall process about evaluations. I don't know if you have that information for us tonight. What we would like to find out is that, where are we with our evaluations, with our staff? Is what you're expecting is that if you say to Principal X or Manager X, these are the evaluations you need to get done, are they all getting done? I don't know if you can answer that question, but that would be something that would be very interested in finding out. And so if that's something for you to answer later on, go ahead and do that. If you have it now, that's great. Yeah, I guess those are the questions that I would go ahead and have, and if you don't have the answers, that's fine, and come back to us with it. But those are some of the things that we'd like to hear from you or give you more time to answer those kind of questions.
I don't have those answers for you right now. I will bring them back at another date.
And you know what, thank you very much for your presentation. I think that your presentation here for the new trustees and for some of the trustees that are more experienced, I didn't use the word, I didn't use that word. I'm including myself in that. Thank you for the information that's there. Is there anyone else that has any questions for Jason before we let him go? So Kath, thanks for Jason today for coming out and showing us that information. The board does continue to have some work to do. And I think that you hit it right on the head. It's about relationships. We have one union president here with us, and it's always about, that's here watching, and it's always about how we can work together so that we can be like this as opposed to be like this, and it's working. So thanks very much for the two of you that are here, for the work that's going on in Sunrise. Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
So again, I want to thank you, Jason. I know that one of the pieces that our system really, really enjoys is that if there isn't an answer right there on the spot, our HR department is completely thorough in terms of finding the answer for you. Sometimes, more thorough than we'd even like. So they are right on top of making sure that you have all the information you need and sometimes even more. So Jason, even though I maybe sometimes bug you about that, I really do appreciate the hard work that you and your department do for us.
So, Jason, you can stay, you can go, it's your call, but we're going to move on. Thanks very much. So we're going to go on to 5.1 is our minutes. So we have our minutes from our inaugural meeting. So be it resolved, the board adopt the November 1st inaugural board meeting minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Rowan, seconded by trustee Smith. Questions to that? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you. It passed 8-0. We have minutes from our November 1st regular board meeting. So be it resolved, the board adopt the November 1st board meeting minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Nichols, seconded by trustee Reed. Any questions to those minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote. Eight, nothing. Stacy, refreshing. We have the superintendent's report. So, Kath, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You have my report in front of you. There's a couple of things that I wanted to highlight, and one of them is that we have a career fair being hosted next week. And so Greg Link is our career development teacher, and he is doing a career fair for our students. So we've wanted to give a shout out to the Clipper. They're doing some coverage, and they wanted to crack it open for everybody in the whole wide world. We said, hang on a second. This is for kids. This is not for the community. So there will be some media coverage, but it is around kids knowing what's out there for them and informing themselves as to what sorts of things are out there. You did hear at the beginning in the sheriff's story a fantastic array of kudos for the Remembrance Day services. One of the things that I'm proud of as a superintendent is no matter which school's service that I attend, it is very much student-centered. The focus is on kids doing work, the focus is on kids doing the presentation, and I'm extremely proud of the fact that that's what the kids in our division do. We have a whole host of holiday season things. You'll see that as a different item. And then I wanted to introduce yet another acronym that isn't even ours, TIMS. Trends in International Mathematics and Science Studies. So every now and then, international studies will just knock on school divisions' doors and say, hey, good news, we chose you. You're doing the TIMS study, or you're doing the PISA study, or you're doing the whatever the new acronym study is. The important piece to this is that they will let us know that we have 3 schools who are participating, Oakbank Elementary, École Beausejour Early Years, and École Powerview. It is an international study, and those schools are chosen randomly, and the students in the school are chosen randomly, and we don't get divisional results back. We may get provincial results where we're lumped in with I don't know how many other schools, and we may get national results back. But this is one of those things that you'll hear about TIMS or PISA studies, and we don't get anything back that we can sink our teeth into and use to inform our practice because it is random. So it does help in terms of overall planning and international planning, but it's not a really valuable or useful thing for us in-house. And then I wanted to just bring some stats on homeschooling. So homeschooling is something that anybody in the province can do, and there is a website there. And so I wanted to give you an idea that this year we have 196 students from 81 families who are homeschooling their children, and we get a report every year. I can go back historically and get numbers, but that is not a high number for us. That's pretty normal, if not a little lower than normal for our homeschooling. Unless there's questions, that is my report this week.
Any questions for Kathy? Trustee Rowan?
So Kathy, that homeschooling number, is that going down as we're kind of trying to come out of COVID, those kinds of things?
Yeah, so a trend that we've seen is that when we were right in the heart of COVID, there was remote learning, there was homeschooling, we had a connection with Manitoba Remote Learning Center. I feel like we have currently 4 students that are learning remotely through the provincial center, so that's come right down. The students on this report are not typically students that have left Sunrise and have gone homeschooling. They have begun their career or their academics doing homeschooling, and they remain on the list. So there isn't a great number of students and families on that list that are new saying we are homeschooling because of the pandemic. They are families that have chosen the homeschooling route.
Anyone else? I can tell you as a former principal, when my students were selected to write a PISA test or to write, I've never heard of Tim's before because I thought she was talking about Tim Hortons when she was here. I wouldn't say I bribed my students, but I probably tried to feed my students, because try to tell a student, oh, write a test here, and you don't get to see the results. It's not an easy thing to have your children get too excited about going ahead and doing. When there was food hanging in the balance, you know what, it seemed to work out okay, and so if our, you know what, if that's something possible to think into our administrators out there, certainly that's something for us to think about. Thanks, Kath, for that. Any other questions for Kath? Okay, let's move on. Kath, you've given us a draft reporting schedule. That's something that we talk about on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or meeting basis. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Any questions from that from anyone? It's for information. Okay, we'll move on to Mr. Fieldberg. Are you fit to handle this? Is that what the deal is? All right, Mr. Fieldberg, you're on.
Of course, I won't be able to answer any questions in detail about this, but I'll take them back to Jody, and I'm not going to read this, but I did want to highlight some things of it because I think it deserves some attention. Just the whole maintenance thing still going on at these 2 high schools. And I want to focus on the resilience that the schools have. Like, on top of everything else, they've adapted like crazy and switched rooms around, and it's a testament to the adaptability of staff. So I'm going to talk about not the finance stuff, but schools are doing an awesome job of adapting to the situations that they have, and I think they deserve recognition for that. And things are, you know, steadily looking up. There's a couple of labs on the way as well in a few schools, so those schools are also having to adapt to rooms they thought they were going to have available to use, and I know Derek's been working super hard and has been faced with the shortages and delays that everybody's been faced with. So I think everybody's doing their absolute level best and just adapting to what we have. I had the pleasure of using the new Dougal parking, and it is awesome because we was always having to park across the street and walk. I was like, this is awesome. So those parking spots there are awesome. It's also a nice little fence for the barrier playground that is looking great there. And then just to let you know, the hard work that ICT is doing in the background, they often don't get recognized for all the stuff that's going on. And this transition to a new student information system is a huge job. And the technological struggle with finding out this data file, feeding that field and everything, like, it's a big job. So I just want to honor the work they've been doing to set us up to get ready for this changeover. It's a big job, and preparing the PD that's coming up for secretaries and stuff like that. So good job on their part. So that's all I have to say about that, and I can't answer any questions. I can make stuff up, but yeah.
Any questions that Lars can try to answer or relay? So Lars, in my last school division I worked at as a principal, we had Power School as well. And what was very valuable is we had a Power School guru within our division. And then we eventually had to share that Power School guru. But Power School, for an administrator with over my 6 years while I was there, I found it very useful and a great tool for us. I didn't think about it when I first got there because I had to learn it, but I had all kinds of help about setting up schedules and those kind of things, and so when I picked up the phone I could call someone and I had immediate answers. huge difference. There was lots of school divisions that didn't have that. And if it's at all possible, we can, I know there's Power School University, those kind of things. But if at all possible, I know you guys are looking into that, but for an administrator, when we had someone that could answer our, when I heard Jason talk about putting in tickets and, not knowing and talking to someone, when we had someone that we could go to, it was really great. And the student information system was slick. So do you know what? It's not easy finding a Power School guru, but anyways, it's something that you can take back to Jody. I just know that it worked really well in Interlake School Division, and we're pretty fortunate there. Go ahead.
I actually can give some feedback with that. Scott Bestfader is a name in the province that was working for either Hanover or Stony River, Hanover, and he was their in-house guru. He has set up his own business and is working for the province and is available to all schools contracting out to work with Power School. So that person does exist. It is a contract arrangement. I do know that one of his specialties is setting up plans and forms and stuff like that in the student services part of it. That's why I know about it, but I believe he also has expertise in a wide variety of Power Schools. So that is accessible, and we will be investing in using that.
And I would suggest is that, so Michelle Proctor out of Interlake School Division, she's your equivalent there. She would have gone through the same sort of thing about getting those forms, that kind of stuff. And so beg, borrow, and steal, and sorry, not steal, beg and borrow, but yeah, see what we can go ahead and do. Thanks very much for that. Anyone else? Any other questions? Thanks very much, Mr. Fieldberg, for pinch hitting there. Appreciate it. We have board business. We have the grade 10 provincial assessment. Kath, that's you?
Yeah, you have a report there, and we're at the place in space where the province is developing a provincial assessment at the grade 10 level. They've shifted it from grade 12 to grade 10. It is in the development and pilot stage, and it will not come out until it has been developed and piloted and administered. The piece that I wanted to kind of highlight is at the bottom of the report, where it does remind us that provincial assessments are one measure of success that we do at grade 3, 4, 7, 8, and soon to be 10. But that doesn't mean that we're not doing a whole host of formative and summative assessments along the way that inform our practice. So the fact that the grade 10 provincial assessment is just being developed and piloted does not at all mean that we are not assessing kids in every way, shape, and form.
Anybody want to comment on this? So, Kath, personally from my point of view, teachers do all kinds of different assessments, which is great. What I liked about the grade 12 provincial exam, there was all these different assessments, and there was a provincial exam. And we didn't base everything just on the provincial exam, but it was something that was standard across the board that we took a look at. And it didn't mean that because that was only 30% of our students grade 12 marks, because the teachers were doing the other 70%, which was great, but it still was a pretty good indicator for an old guy like me to get an understanding of it. I'm disappointed that it's not around. I know that I've talked lots with Trustee Nichols, certainly about the math assessment, and there's all kinds of pros and cons on both sides about doing grade 12 provincial exams, those kind of things. But I can tell you from myself as an educator, did I like it? I liked it as one tool for us to look at, not all the tools. And if anybody else wants to comment on that, certainly you're more than welcome, but I hear you. But do I like that we've gone to grade 10 and now not grade 12? Not at all. Anyone else?
Well, I definitely like the grade 10. I like to have it in grade, if I was an educator now, I like the grade 10. I would like to have it in grade 11 and 12. So I agree that 10 was important, because then you can work with them for 2 more years. But I agree with you that I would like to have kept the grade 12 too. And I had no difficulty in going down to grade 11 either.
Okay, thanks. We'll move on. Anyone else before? We'll move on. Trustee absent request, so trustee Reed, you have the floor.
Okay, I'll start off with a very brief preamble. I don't miss many board meetings. I think I've only missed one in the last 8 years. I could be wrong, but I think it's one. But traditionally, my wife and I go away in February, and I guess it was about 6 years ago, we went to Phoenix, and I did get permission from the board to miss 3 meetings, but when we got down there, we discovered that we could phone and join the meetings, and so we did that. So I didn't need to have that 3, but I did. The next year we went to Hawaii, and the same thing occurred. I phoned into the meetings, so so far I've been able to phone to the meetings. Then COVID struck, and we didn't go on any vacations after that. But we're considering going on a vacation this year, and it will take up basically February, of which there are 2 board meetings in there. But what I'm asking is to be given permission to miss 3 if anything goes wrong. We would miss the 2 in February and the 1 on March 7th, which would of course be 3. I don't expect to miss that. We're planning to come home at the end of February, but we're going to Mexico this year, and I'm not so sure that, and it's COVID, and so I'm not so sure that I can promise to be back in 2, so I thought I'd better get permission, if I can, to miss 3, and so that's why I'm going through my vacation history.
Thanks, trustee Reed. Are there any questions for trustee Reed? So I have one, Russ. So when you're going to be down in Mexico, there's no opportunity for you to call in?
I don't think so. I don't know. We don't take a handheld phone with us. What we use down there, the couple we were traveling with, the other fellow has something called a Magic Jack, which enables him to call from anywhere in the world, and we've used that, but they're unable to go with us this year. And again, the last time I tried to use a phone in Mexico, I had to go to the operator, and the operator ended up slamming the phone on my ear because I guess the operator didn't speak English and thought I was, I don't know. Anyway, it didn't work, so I don't want to trust to that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So we have a motion. Be it resolved that trustee Reed be granted permission to miss 3 consecutive meetings in February and March 2023. I need someone to move that. Moved by trustee Rowland, seconded by trustee Nickel. Stacy, are we voting by hand? Okay. Are there any questions to this motion? I will assume then, Russ, that you'll abstain from this motion? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll go around table. Trustee Smith is a yes. Trustee Rowan is a yes. Trustee Boytson is a yes. Trustee Nichols is a yes. Trustee Harris is a yes. Trustee Rowland?
Yes.
And trustee Magnon is a yes, so it carries 7-0. Thank you. Thanks, Russ. Thanks. Christmas concert schedule, so that's information, Kath. Did you want to add anything to that? This concert schedule is there, so let people know. We have the Powerview Safe Grad request. Do you have, Kath, I'll give that to you.
Yeah, I think that everything is in the report, so unless there's questions about what might be in the report, I think there is a draft proposed motion there. This is a situation where sometimes a community doesn't have a facility where they can host a grad or a safe grad because there isn't one in the community, and this is something we've done in the past. So the proposed motion would read, be it resolved that the board approve in principle the ACOL Powerview School Grad 2022 request under the same conditions as imposed in previous years, and of course subject to superintendent final approval. So it would be making sure that all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You have the request from the parent group and sort of a backgrounder, if that's a motion you wish to entertain.
I'm going to, do we want to put the motion on the floor and then talk about it? Yes, I guess so, we do. So, be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Powerview School Grad 22 request under the same conditions as imposed in previous years, just like she just said, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Trustee Nichol, you move, and Trustee Boytson, you're going to second? Okay. Any questions for this from anyone? Stacy, we can vote electronically? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote electronically. Thank you. And it passed 8-0, and thank you for supporting that request at Powerview School. Thanks, Kath. Budget process, who's handling that? Okay.
I don't want to take any thunder away from the Finance Committee Chair who's on the phone, but I just wanted to make sure that the trustees were kind of aware of some of the hard dates, and also that the Finance Committee is meeting tomorrow and will begin tackling, I think as one of their first things, what is the budget timeline and process. So that is the role of the Finance and Audit Committee. But some of the sort of hard deadlines we have is we do a public presentation to the board on December 6th. We need to be at the ready to do a public presentation on the 23rd with a draft budget, saying this is what we think we want to do, to hear their feedback. And then we do need to send an approved budget into the province after our March 7th meeting. The March 7th meeting is pretty important, and the province and municipalities also have fiscal deadlines they need to meet. So just wanted to make sure that everybody in the room had those dates to be aware of, and you can encourage your Finance and Audit Committee tomorrow to come up with a great schedule.
Trustee Rowland, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No, just that I had spoken with Secretary Treasurer, and she will be coming with some proposed dates to review, and the schedule seems to be much like previous years, so there should be no surprise, and we'll get it together.
Okay, so I just want to confirm with, I'm not sure if we've agreed to this as a new board or not, but in the past we've tried to stick to Tuesdays and Thursdays as a board, so that then try to plan your lives around other days. And we've kind of had a head nod about us going ahead and doing that, about sticking to we haven't had a head nod? Oh, we've put it in and we voted on it? Go ahead, Don.
Well, I know when we try to get a policy committee meeting and a finance committee meeting, we had to do it on Wednesdays. So I think it seems to me that people would rather skip the Thursday and do the Wednesdays instead. Because the four of us, well, there's about 6, I guess, between the two committees that thought that Wednesdays, because somebody was doing something on Thursday, somebody was doing it here, and we could find out that Wednesday seemed to be better. But I'm only speaking for myself and what I think is happening, so maybe you can ask the board what they think.
So I don't really care I don't really care what day we have or days we have, but I do want us to try to stick to, for Kathy's life as well and our senior admin's life, it's not that we're going to meet on every, if they need to plan something, they can plan that we're not going to meet on Tuesdays or Thursdays or Mondays or those kind of things as a board. So as long as we can choose 2 days, if we can come to some kind of consensus, that'd be great. Diane, I cut you off.
Secretary Treasurer was going to put together some dates, and hopefully that would work. I know Don is speaking to the initial problems we had trying to arrange for our first 2 meetings, but I do feel and second your opinion about respecting the schedules of our senior administration. So we'll have to put something out, and people may have to be flexible, but we are going to come forward with some dates. I don't know that today's the date to say Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays, because we're missing people, especially our Secretary-Treasurer.
Okay, but I think that I want to get a head nod around our board here as to what days that we're going to be trying to keep meetings to. And I know people have lives. So in the past, we've done Tuesdays, Thursdays. Dawn, you're suggesting that maybe Tuesdays, Thursdays don't work and we need to do Tuesdays, Wednesdays. What I'd like to just round table kind of what will work for you. And what are your thoughts? Alicia?
Well, I think the one difficult thing we had is Trustee Nickel is on both the finance and the policy. So I think that's the issue we were having, trying to find, yeah. And myself, I am on a lot of boards within the community. So, like, for example, I can't go to the Christmas party or the rec commission, so Trustee Harris is going for me because I already have something on that day. I'm thinking it depends if it's going to be like the second week or the third week of the month. I could probably work Tuesdays and Thursdays would probably work out for me, as long as it was not on the same week as my, do you know what I mean?
Trustee Rowan?
I can likely make Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday work. I do know that Dustin Dent, I believe he teaches a class on Thursday.
Trustee Reed?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me. I can make Monday or Wednesday, or Thursday for that matter.
Trustee Boyton?
I also can make any of those dates work.
Trustee Nickel?
I prefer Wednesday, but Thursday's okay, but not early. I don't like a, I don't like a 5:30 or 6 o'clock meeting. I like it like 6:30 or 7.
Trustee Harris?
Any day is fine by me.
Trustee Rowland?
I have some obligations on Tuesdays. However, I would like to see us stick to Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I guess I would like to speak for our Secretary-Treasurer, who is busy on Wednesdays. So I was trying to leave that for her to speak for her own schedule, but I would work any day there. I would work it in. I'd like to see us stick to Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So I'm going to let Kath go.
Tuesdays and Thursdays work for us. I know that Jody has a conflict on Wednesdays. I have a conflict on some Wednesdays, so Tuesdays and Thursdays seem to work for us. I do think, I appreciate that you're, guarding our lives, but I also think that as long as we know well enough in advance if we have to pick a different day, advance notice can work for us if that's a need.
Well, I'm not only trying to guard your lives, I'm trying to guard everybody's lives here, and part of it is that when I came on board 4 years ago, we kind of had an unwritten rule that we were that if we had to meet, it was going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays. And so part of it is, even if it's a special meeting, you know what, if I can still stick to Tuesdays, Thursdays, people's lives, we know we're trying to do things. And so it seems that as a board, Thursdays are going to be a problem for us with Trustee Dent. For the most part, I heard Tuesdays, Thursdays could work. Am I hearing? So if we can stick with Tuesdays, Thursdays as a rule of thumb, and of course maybe there will be, if something's that important, we'll try to do it, but if we can stick to Tuesdays, Thursdays, are we good with that? And I'm looking around the room and I'm hearing you talk in my ear, Trustee Rowland, that'll work okay? Alicia, are we good?
Basically, I do have, I'm thinking about backing down on one of my other boards that is on a Tuesday, so I hopefully will be able to get in unless they beg me to stay.
Okay, so we'll try to stick around with Tuesdays, Thursdays, and of course, try to come to some kind of consensus if we need to get off of Tuesdays, Thursdays, but we'll work that as we move forward. That's kind of what lives will be like. And again, trying to meet earlier is difficult for people, you know, particularly with kids or looking after grandkids or those kind of things, we hear it. But again, when we do this, the other thing is let's try not to meet. I've never found being successful is meeting for 3 hours and trying to make decisions in the last half hour of the 3 hours. You're just too tired to do things. So I think trying to, you know, for 7 to 9, 6:30 to 8:30 or whatever, not to go too long. And Dawn's good at holding us to that, and it's been good about it because we get too tired when we try to make decisions when we're tired. Let's try that. But there we go. Okay, thanks for that. Where are we? Budget process. So we just got off of that. So, so policy committee. So, what's that? Yeah. So we have a policy committee meeting. Chair, did you want to talk anything about that?
No, nothing other than, you know, it's next Wednesday, and we'll get started and go from there. I'll talk with Kathy.
And then Diane Rowan, we've got the Finance Committee, your meeting, I think the meeting date is there. Finance is November the 16th. Did you want to add anything, Trustee Rowan?
No, I just want to say that as for our committee that you're going to try and keep it low for as our secretary is still not well. Have to reschedule another meeting at a later time.
I think that Assistant Superintendent Fieldberg, he said that he can handle all the finance stuff. So if he has to lead the meeting, that wouldn't be a problem anyways, because he's got a big smile here. So
I concur.
yeah. So if Jody is listening, you know, she's kind of giggling right now, and so that's great. Hopefully you're feeling better, Jody. Okay, thanks very much. So I've continued to be the signing authority, but we are setting up the 2 other signing authorities for electronic signing, and that's Trustee Harris and Trustee Rowland, and we'll decide very quickly who it's going to be for the month of December, whether it's Trustee Harris or Trustee Rowland that'll do our signing for us. 8.9 is we do not have any minutes. We do not have a check register for us. And again, the Education Foundation 8.11 is a standing item that we have on there. And I'm assuming then, Lars, that there isn't any kind of feedback that's coming into it. But let's again, we don't want to lose sight of that. Let's keep that on there so that we can be informed and hopefully get a decision as quickly as possible. 9.1 talks about the MSBA Fall General Meeting, so it's December 1st and 2nd. I think that, Stacy, has everybody got to you with regard to it? Yeah, okay. So, are we pretty well able to attend? Is that general consensus that we can attend? You can attend? Russ, are you attending? Lorraine's attending? Donnie, are you not able to attend? Trustee Harris, are you attending? Trustee Rowan, are you attending?
That was Roland. Yes.
Sorry, I got to be careful. That's right. Okay. Good. So we have a good crew that'll be going ahead and meeting there. Financial summary report. We don't have one here. Board correspondence. There's information that's being sent out. Nice to know information, and that's there for you. We have upcoming meetings. Questions from the public. So I'm going to give the first opportunity before, Lars, I get to you and the questions that maybe have come into Jody. Are there any questions? Serena, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, but I do plan in the future.
Guess you're not leaving there. Thanks, Serena. Okay, thank you. So there are no questions from the public, and so it does, we have no, do we have a motion from in camera? Oh, it's there. Okay, before I go there, go ahead, trustee Boydson.
I was just wondering if we have to bring forward anything about the ad hoc committee that we established.
So 17.1 is, there's a motion here, be it resolved that the board deny the personnel appeal as presented and discussed at the in-camera meeting. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Nickel, seconded by trustee Rowan. We can vote electronically, Stacy, on this. Any questions to this, 17.1? Excuse me, hearing none, we'll vote. So you notice on there that I abstained just because I wasn't at our meeting. I did read about it, but I did still abstain because I felt that I should have been here to listen to it. So I did. Thank you for that. And 17.2, can we do this verbally? Okay. Okay, so here it is, and you can help me with this. Be it resolved that the board approve an ad hoc committee to bring a recommendation back to the board regarding the non-union compensation. So be it resolved that the board approve an ad hoc committee to bring a recommendation back to the board for the non-union compensation. The ad hoc committee is the chair, trustee Boydson, trustee Nickel, trustee Smith, and trustee Rowland. So I'll read that out again, hopefully. Be it resolved that the board approve an ad hoc committee to bring a recommendation back to the board for the non-union compensation plan. Our chair is trustee Boydson with trustee Nickel, trustee Smith, trustee Rowland, the four of you, correct? Okay. Any questions to that motion? Thank you. Need to be moved in second. Moved by trustee Harris, seconded by trustee Smith. Questions to that? Can we vote electronically? Okay, so I'll go around and we'll vote. Trustee Smith, how do you say? Trustee Smith says yes. Trustee Rowan says yes. Trustee Reed says yes. Trustee Boydson says yes. Trustee Nichols says yes. Trustee Harris says yes. Trustee Rowland says yes, and trustee Magnon says yes. So it passes at 8-0, Stacy. Thank you for that. I believe that the last part of this is adjournment, and it's at 8:30. 8:27. Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy. Have a good one. Thanks.
Diane Rowland.